City volunteers provide food to flood survivors in Marikina and San Mateo of the Philippines. We'll look into how industrial waste and dust have polluted our living environment. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Siri. Thank you for joining us. In the Philippines, Marikina and San Mateo have been flooded due to heavy rain. Many local residents have been evacuated to shelters. Upon learning of the news, Tzu Chi volunteers headed to the shelters to distribute bread and hot meals to the affected residents. Affected by the tropical depression, Marikina and San Mateo in the Philippines have been flooded again.
The residents in the low-lying areas started to evacuate at 2:30 in the morning. The volunteers began evacuating at 3 a.m. By 5 o'clock, we can no longer walk on the streets as the water level was up to our necks.
Having suffered from disasters caused by Typhoon Kasana, the residents evacuated early this time. Upon learning of the news, the volunteers immediately started to provide hot food and bread at the shelters in two areas.
We can only bear with it as we do not have money to buy food. I actually want to go home now, but my place has been flooded. Finally, there is food for us.
We don't have money, and we are waiting for help because there are too many children in my family.
I pray that the weather will improve and it will no longer flood when it rains. We will return to make assessments if the residents need further assistance.
The volunteers provide fried rice noodle to the affected residents, warming their bodies and calming their anxious minds. Argentina City volunteers have hosted a winter aid distribution in Ibico Entre Rios province. They provided the needed supplies for a total of 134 impoverished families.
Argentina City volunteers headed to Ibico in Entre Rios province at 6 a.m. in the morning. The Tzu Chi Argentina volunteers are hosting this year's winter aid distribution primarily in this town. Most of the residents here are single mothers with no job skill sets. That's why volunteers are delivering aid supplies to help them survive the winter months.
We hope the aid distribution today can bring some warmth amongst this harsh winter for all of you. If you are touched by the kindness, we invite you to also pass on the love and care.
Volunteers distributed a variety of items to a total of 134 families, hoping to meet their needs. Inspired by volunteers' dedication, many residents were happy to donate a small amount of money in the bamboo coin banks as well.
We are delighted to receive these supplies, and we are very grateful that you are here to help us. I have adopted a bamboo coin bank today, and I will try my best to reciprocate your kindness and help others that are even less fortunate than us.
Everyone walked out of the venue with smiles on their faces. The warmth in their hearts can now give them the strength to survive the cold winter.
In Thailand, there's a Tzu Chi recipient who suffered a spinal cord injury at work. He now lives with his elderly mother. Tzu Chi volunteer Cai Chunlai, who lives nearby, visits often to care for this family. He also treats the elderly mother in the family just like his own mother.
When I was dismantling the sheet metal house, I fell from the second floor to the first floor. Many hospitals rejected me. In the end, I was sent to National Cheng Kung University Hospital. People asked them to save my life. Finally, my life was saved.
After he injured his head, he became even more hot-tempered. He's in a hurry to do things. He will react immediately upon hearing some comments.
I started working since I was young, so my mother spent little time with me. She does not know how I interact with people outside. So I do things I want to accomplish it as fast as possible. I cannot bear to waste time.
哎。他的个案还没进来的时候，我就看伊先为我头前你捡回收啊。
Before Tzu Chi took in his case, I've seen him picking up recyclables while sitting in a wheelchair. Later, Brother Ah Huang told me about this case. I immediately understood. I visited Grandma and Ah Bin to understand their family situation before reporting it to Tzu Chi.
这道路坑甲拢翻乌啊，这爱星星讨角啊啦！我叫我叔这爱星星的好无啦？我后斗来甲你食饭敢好？好哦。
We treat her like our own mother. Our own mother would not eat something like that. So how can we let our care recipient eat it, right?
阿妈，我若甲你星星送送咧，送中昼的暗顿的，就饭互你食，安尼敢好？好哦。
Tzu Chi volunteers went to the rural areas of Jinjiang from Chenzhou City to care for two particular care recipient families. The first one was Liu Weigang's family, who didn't have enough money to even pay rent. The other being Mu Xingwu, who's a 5-year-old burn survivor.
看一下，这是你们写作业的桌子。
Liu Weigang's family came to Jinjiang from Chongqing. The two daughters' college tuition, plus raising the underage twins, makes it almost impossible for him to afford the rent.
Your help really saved us. I don't know how to return the favor. All I say is that I'm so grateful for people like you guys.
舒服吗？
好乖啊。
The two brothers really could feel the hard work of their parents. When the volunteers arrived, the two brothers thanked their parents for their unconditional love.
爸爸，怎么样？心情怎么样？
太爽了，比吃蜂蜜还甜呢。
The two children performed the feet washing ceremony for their parents. It was a very touching moment. The atmosphere was filled with love. I think I will also try to find a chance later to wash my mother's feet too.
The same spirit of great love can be felt in the Dasanhou village. Hearing the footsteps of the volunteers coming, the two children ran out and greeted them with open arms.
The moment that I embraced the children was like hugging a family member. We're like their second sets of parents. The child that I had in my arms earlier really melted my heart. I thought about how my body is in good health and that I have all my limbs still. My mind is still very clear, so I should do more to help more people in need.
5-year-old Mu Xingwu had a burn accident 2 years ago. However, he's very outgoing and kisses the volunteer's cheek generously. He learned to use his left hand to do many daily tasks, and hair is starting to grow back now.
He used to be very scared of the Tzu Chi volunteers when they came over, but now they are like family. I want to really thank the volunteers for being so caring and giving our family so much love.
The warmth of the volunteers makes everyone's faces full of smiles.
A Tzu Chi care recipient, Mr. Liu from Taichung, had a stroke 9 years ago. Tzu Chi volunteer Lin Shilong has been caring for him for the past 6 years because of his mobility issues. However, Mr. Liu not only rides his electric vehicle to the recycling station every day, he has also joined the volunteer training this year.
This afternoon, volunteer Lin Shilong came to visit Mr. Liu again. Considering that Mr. Liu lives alone in a small studio and is not able to walk steadily due to a stroke, Lin Shilong came to accompany him whenever he can. Many even thought that they were brothers.
He looks like my younger brother. Many people often ask us if we are related, and I thought it's an amazing connection.
He places many Jingsi aphorisms cards on his desk. Among them, this one has made the most impact on him.
Those who sow the seeds of blessing shall harvest plentiful blessings. This is the most inspiring one for me.
For 5 consecutive years, he rides his electric car to the recycling station daily, despite suffering from mobility issues.
He is very diligent, and he comes here every day.
I feel very joyful and grateful all the time. Dharma Master Zheng Yan teaches us that if something's right, just do it. Hence, we shall follow her teachings.
Even though he has mobility issues, his perseverance and determination are truly admirable.
This year, he had also joined the volunteer training and become part of the Tzu Chi family. He hopes to be a giver to others in need in the near future.
Slag is a byproduct of steelmaking and is often illegally disposed of all over Taiwan. At times, it is even mixed with concrete for construction, which can affect the structural safety of a building. In fact, the steel industry also produces an even more toxic byproduct, which is classified as fly ash. Due to the high cost of processing, this waste received almost no treatment and was directly abandoned throughout Taiwan.
哦，这全都炉渣，你看。
Harmful industrial waste may seem something far away for the average person, but for residents of Dapingding, it's part of their life, like this local road where you can see a lot of ash particles all around. I just have to bend down and I can scoop some up.
You see, if I do a quick measurement, zinc levels are 210 parts per million, and lead is more than 30,000 parts per million. Fly ash is everywhere and it's here and over there. All these small particles and those that are coffee colored.
We aren't deep in the mountains or near the sea, but actually near urban area in Kaohsiung City's Dapingding. Looking around, there are hundreds of square meters of waste buried here near the side of the road.
我们后续也会不排除采用风险评估的。
We do not rule out risk assessment tools to carry out related assessment in this area.
We continue our investigation of densely populated residential areas at the junction of Dapingding and Shaogang district.
A lot of slag has been dumped here and lots of fly ash. It's right here next to the road, which is across from a house that is less than 50 meters away, encroaching on urban development plans as this area has become a residential area.
From an overhead view, the area under investigation is marked in red, with nearby 500-meter area being Duotuosan, which has been designated a highly polluted area by NGOs.
The Soil and Groundwater Pollution Remediation Funds is supervising this area, with Dapingding having a total of 3,741 places to be managed, with 97 being managed, or about 416 hectares. The other areas are being monitored.
Dapingding has 3,281 hectares of polluted area, with only 416 hectares being rehabilitated. In other words, 87% of the ash and industrial waste remain, with the government only doing monitoring work and no processing. On the EPA website, this area isn't even listed as a contaminated site, but we went and found the area full of large amounts of industrial waste. There's a pungent stench, and we suspect there's lots of toxic industrial wastewater here.
The government has no way to clean the area, and the least they should do is make a note and say the land has been backfilled with what kind of waste. This information should be made public.
Illegal dumping sites managed by the EPA total 181 throughout Taiwan, with 23 in Kaohsiung, of which Dapingding has 12 locations. But in fact, there's a big gap between the government's data and the actual number of pollution sites.
This part of history as early as the 1980s, when we didn't know how harmful this ash is, leading it to be littered everywhere or illegally buried. For this reason, we're still struggling to deal with this difficult problem.
This is under a bridge of Provincial Highway 76, as we are investigating dirt here, which at first seems quite normal. Apparently looks like normal soil hides 6 or 7 dust granules after just 10 seconds.
In this 3 by 6 meter space, there are some 100 to 200 dust granules, and actually a lot of it is still hidden to us, as I believe that there is a lot more.
Illegally abandoned slag and dust granules usually appear together. You can see these large and small particles, which look like balls of chocolate, but actually contain doses of dioxin. Uninformed people and children may take this home to play with, which may harm their health. Dust granules and hazardous waste may be disposed of at a rate faster than we can clean.
We went to this area and found it to be quite smell with a burned chemical smell. From a drainage pipe behind it, we took a soil sample of them and took it for a test. We took in 10 samples, and 9 samples had heavy metals, with all exceeded soil control standards.
is our living environment becoming more polluted with industrial waste and dust? This polluted land costs the government vast sums to clean up. If left alone, it is an unquantifiable health hazard and potentially an ecological impact for the next generation.
Kidney problems have always been at the top of the medical list for people in Taiwan. Especially for people over the age of 40, kidney function starts to decline. For those who take painkillers regularly, have high blood sugar, and poor blood pressure control, they're in a high-risk group for kidney disease. Doctors remind us with a healthy diet and moderate exercise, we can protect our kidneys.
In the dialysis center, all the beds are occupied. In one of the beds is 60-year-old Miss Zhang, who has been undergoing dialysis treatment for many years.
I'm not used to it at all. Even after this long, still not used to it.
Her kidneys have failed due to taking Chinese herbal medicine from unknown sources for many years. Doctors stated that many people in Taiwan like to buy a variety of unlabeled or unknown medications, which is one of the leading causes of kidney failure. In addition, kidney functions and age are closely related. Individuals' kidney function will start to decline after the age of 40, and patients with hypertension, high cholesterol, and high blood sugar need to pay more attention.
If one's blood sugar and blood pressure are not under control, it may start to do damage to the kidneys. It will cause the nutrients in the kidneys to slowly drain out, which will lead to a decline in kidney function.
In order to take care of your kidneys, changes in eating habits are key.
Foods that are high in protein and meat products need to be reduced gradually. Also, try to lower your salt intake.
Some symptoms of kidney diseases are foam in the urine, edema in the lower limbs, high blood pressure, anemia, and constant fatigue. If these 5 symptoms appear, one must pay attention to see if there are kidney function problems.
How long is too long to wear the daily disposable contact lenses? The eye doctors recommend the upper limit of usage is 8 hours. If one surpasses this period, it can easily lead to eye problems and even blindness.
Everyone has different habits of wearing contact lenses.
最高可以戴到12小时，大概4到6小时。
26-year-old Miss Shea has 300 degrees of nearsightedness. On average, she wears contact lenses 2 or 3 times a week. Every time she uses them, her eyes feel dry and have a weird sensation.
I will wear contact lenses when I go out with friends during interviews or for more formal occasions.
The daily disposable contact lenses of each brand are almost all single radiant types. The diameter is relatively large with full coverage that has a strong absorption force.
When the contact lens completely sucks our eyes dry, it's really hard to make any kind of normal eye movements. Your cornea will become one with the lens, and that creates a drainage problem.
Doctors warn, due to Taiwan's climate and the current serious air pollution issues, contact lenses should be worn as little as possible.
The maximum time one should wear contact lenses is about 8 hours. If you're not sure, just take a look in the mirror to see if your eyes are bloodshot. If yes, that means you have worn them for too long.
Many symptoms include sight discomfort, lack of oxygen, feeling uncomfortable, dryness, severe corneal abrasions, and easy to be infected.
The biggest problems are inflammation of the cornea, corneal ulcers, and then eventually, of course, it will cause permanent blindness.
Physicians suggest that people who have the habit of wearing contact lenses should be thoroughly examined every 6 months. If there are new microvessels that grow into the cornea, which means there's a long-term lack of oxygen, it's best to wear ordinary glasses to protect the eyes from further damage.
6 nursing students from the Tzu Chi University of Science and Technology went overseas on a cultural exchange program. The program included visiting the sister school, Canterbury Christ Church University, and learning about the nursing spirit from the pioneer British nurse Nightingale at the London St. Thomas Hospital.
6 nursing students from the Tzu Chi University of Science and Technology served as goodwill ambassadors and visited the London St. Thomas's Hospital. The students prepared a traditional Taiwanese indigenous dance to showcase to the patients, family members, and hospital volunteers.
Although we speak different languages, it really doesn't stop them from feeling our genuine love and care for them. As long as the message is conveyed in the positive light to the patients, we are very joyful as well.
The students visited the museum and learned all about the pioneer British nurse, Nightingale, which motivated them to continue down the nursing path.
因为每个人生命里面，你们也是善恶拔河啊！你看你用的是要人类付出的刀，还是为人类治疗的刀？ For 20 years.
At the sister school, Canterbury Christ Church University, the nursing students experience different simulated medical situations in English for the very first time. They cared for fabricated patients and even had the opportunity to replicate a birthing scenario.
It was a real eye-opening experience where we got to learn that in terms of care, nursing is multifaceted. Not only are we giving patients actual medical care, but psychological support is also in the mix.
I know that as being a nurse, we not only need the professional training, but we also need to be mentally strong for the patients. We need to take care of our health first before we can help others in need. We need to always adjust our mindsets and be quick to establish a sense of security and trust with the patients and their families. This is the best way to treat the patients, a holistic approach.
The teaching process enhanced the nursing students' confidence. Due to this trip, they have forever learned that when it comes to patients, we need to take care of both their body and mind.
Council members of Kenya's Kintu County have traveled to Malaysia to learn about the works of NGOs. During their trip, they visited Kuala Lumpur Jingsi Hall and Tzu Chi's recycling station to learn about how Tzu Chi volunteers carry out their missions. 7 council members from Kenya's Kintu County have traveled to Malaysia to learn about Tzu Chi at the Kuala Lumpur Jingsi Hall.
The story of the ladies who, when they are cooking rice, they just put a little bit of it somewhere else to go and help an hungry person. It's an inspiration. In that way, you are helping when you really think you have got nothing. It's an inspiration, and this is a story which needs to be told.
They also visited a recycling station to hear from the recycling volunteers.
This is cute, right? Wow, like a spade. Huh? You know where does this come from? From this detergent bottle. I just cut over here and then I can make a spade.
We've learned a lot. We've taken live videos, photographs, so that we can go and show our people. The things normally people might think can't be done, it's possible. You just need the will and the values, as I've said earlier.
So that's why Master said, whatever you do as harmony as a good team.
As the council members and Tzu Chi volunteers learn from each other, they also work together to create a cycle of love. Malaysia's Panda Indah DaAi Kindergarten has held an activity for the children to experience a day without electricity in order to teach them about conserving resources. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.